Hello and welcome to the Gaggle, where we challenge and, if necessary, destroy media narratives. I'm George Szamuely. With me today, of course, is co-founder of the Gaggle, Peter Lavelle, host also of RT's talk show Crosstalk. Well, Peter, we've spoken a number of times about Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán and his struggles with the European Union. So before, it had many, many problems over issues about immigration, issues of judiciary appointments, issues of the media, and now there's a new issue that blew up, which is the passage of this legislation about education, that whether homosexuality and transgenderism, sex change, and everything should be part of education in Hungary, and whether there should be positive images of such things in the media. The EU is up in arms about this piece of legislation. Ursula von der Leyen, president of the European Commission, called it disgusting. They're already threatening all kinds of legal action against Hungary. More seriously, they're also holding up recovery funds, COVID recovery funds to Hungary on the basis of this. So today, Viktor Orbán announced that Hungary will hold a referendum on this law, and he said that there will be 5 questions that will be asked. Number 1, do you support that minors should attend school classes on the topic of sexual orientations without parental consent? Question 2, do you support promoting gender change treatments among minors? Question 3, do you support that gender reassignment surgery should be available to minors? Question 4, do you support that media content influencing sexual development should be presented to minors without restriction? And question 5, do you support that media content depicting gender change should be presented to minors? So those will be the 5 questions. Orbán hasn't identified a date as to when this referendum will take place. Now, I'm assuming the referendum will go Orbán's way. Yep. I'm also assuming that it's not going to make one bit of difference to the European bureaucracy. In fact, it will infuriate them further. And in fact, I think Orbán has actually escalated his conflict with the European Union by having this referendum that the EU bureaucracy knows that it's going to lose. So he's likely to be subjected to even greater furious denunciation, and even more likely that they're going to withhold funds, particularly as there's an election coming up next year. So any money that they can withhold from Orbán is likely to damage Orbán. So that there's every incentive for the Europeans not to give him a penny. Yeah. Peter, what was your take?
Well, I mean, if they're going to use that as a sanction, denying funds, well, that's a perfect way to introduce the referendum, because Orbán can say, I'm the only thing separating you from them, okay? And now they're going after our pockets, okay? Is that how you feel? How do you feel about the Brussels bureaucracy, irrespective of the referendum? I mean, it's a win-win for Orbán. These people are so incompetent, okay? Right. Why don't you have dialogue, okay? Instead of always threatening. You're right, on those 5 things, it's a slam dunk. That'll be 90-10. 90-10, easy.
Right.
Easy.
Yeah, I think so too. I think there'll be some, the usual crowd.
I lived in Budapest for a while. I know
they live in Budapest. Many of them are getting funds from Orbán and or various institutions in the EU. This kind of stuff is meat and drink to them. But it's a very small minority. And then basically you then have an issue which the EU is clearly, it's espousing values that is being rejected by the public. Now, you can't very well go on saying democracy, democracy, democracy. We believe in democracy, democratic values, if what you're doing is actually rejected by the overwhelming majority of the public.
These are not values. These are policies.
Right.
Okay, let's not confuse it. That's what they want. They want to confuse it. These are not values. I'll determine what my values are, and you will, right. And everyone else will.
Right.
And we can talk about policy,
Right.
but don't talk about, don't tarnish the word values. And you're absolutely right. Brussels, when they hear the word democracy, they run for the hills. They run fast. Look for cover. Democracy's coming.
That's right. Yeah. Democracy for them is just, that's a slogan we use against Putin. And say, you don't have democracy. We democratic. We have democracy. We are democratic. But of course, the last thing they want is actually allowing the people to have any say over anything. The moment you have introduced that, a referendum. I mean, they absolutely hate referendums. They remember the last one in Great Britain that went the other way. That's the last thing they do. Their view of democracy is, you have these bureaucratic fat cats, all with their snouts in the trough. They issue their decrees. And because there's basically a kind of uniparty system, or at least they make sure that they can marginalize those who are don't follow the party line. They can go on like this. But the moment you start bringing in a referendum, then they lose control of that. So they're just already today they're pulling their hair out at Orbán pulling the stunt on them.
And maybe others in Eastern Europe will follow suit. There is called a demonstration effect here.
Right.
Because, I'm sure living in Hungary, you've talked to people. I lived in Poland for a long time. When they were coming into the European Union, there was this perception, and it was a perception that Brussels wanted, is you're going to become more prosperous. You're going to be richer. You're going to have more stuff, okay? And I kept cautioning them, there's a trade-off. Right. You're going to have to give away your culture, religion, maybe even your history. I mean, just for some, 50 silver coins, is that a fair trade-off? Right. When you put it that way, people, oh, you're exaggerating, Peter. Oh, that's the thing. That's never going to happen. It's not. Well, I've been proven right. Okay. Right. Because community means a lot more. Just as a sidebar here, living in communist Eastern Europe, their culture was more important to them than ever before because it was the cohesion that kept them together. Right. Okay. I mean, in the further west you go, these elites, they're urbane and all that. Oh, that's just child's play. And that's primitive, and it's nationalistic, as if that's a bad word. It's not.
Right. Yeah, no, that's right. And where you have that kind of liberal cultural hegemony, which you get very much in Western Europe, and of course in the United States, people in Eastern Europe, particularly in a country like Hungary, very conservative, they really don't like it. They think you're getting all these LGBTQI activists coming into the classroom with children, think, hey, we don't want this. Now the truth is, of course, the French don't want it either. The Italians don't want it either. But they don't have any say in the matter. They've so been browbeaten by that kind of liberal cultural rule that they just don't even resist anymore. Occasionally there's a sort of bit of a flurry of resistance, but they're soon beaten down. But they haven't really been beaten down in Hungary because Hungary kind of, they skipped, there's a few decades of history in which the liberals managed to express their sway over the public. Hungary never went through that. So that's why, this kind of thing, we don't want this. Why would we want to live like this?
Yeah, I mean, that's reinforcing my point. I mean, Poles and Hungarians, we want to be who we are. Right. We just want to be richer. and no, it doesn't work that way. Okay, it doesn't work that way, and they're finding it out the hard way. I think having a referendum is a fantastic idea, and it goes into the public square of public debate. And let's hash it out. Let's see who really wants to go along with this, because parents should decide how their children are educated, not the state.
Right, right.
Let's be clear about, particularly very young children.
That's right. That's exactly the point. Now we know how the EU will respond during the referendum campaign. They will respond with coercion. You bastards! You vote the wrong way, and we are going to punish you. You know, these are all the things that we're going to deny you. You know, we're going to deny you any COVID funds. We're going to deny you any regional aid. We're just going to really make life miserable for you. It's not a good look when you start threatening people with punishment if they vote the wrong way. But this has now become a kind of the norm for the West.
Collective punishment.
Right.
That's what it is. It's an exercise in collective punishment. Those dastardly Hungarians voted for this guy. He's been in power since what, 2010?
2010, yeah.
That's got some staying power. I wonder why.
That's some staying power, yeah. That's
He's not a fluke, you
right.
know? It's just like a bad dream. We'll wake up, the Hungarians will wake up and throw him up. No. He speaks to the people and the people speak to him. That's the way it's supposed to work, right?
Right. That's right. I mean, so that's really, there's an election next year. The Europeans have sort of, helped the Hungarians organize, there's going to be one opposition bloc. They think, well, maybe we can win this. We'll put everyone together into this anti-Orbán bloc, far right, far left, people in the center, bung them all into one bloc. Maybe we can beat Orbán. That's the usual way. I don't think it's going to happen, but that's the mentality. We got to bloody well beat this guy because he has such a terrible, we can't control him.
Yeah, so let's get this straight here. So the EU is threatening, or potentially will threaten, Hungary with the lack of funds, regional funds, vaccines, whole list here. Right. And at the same time, they'll probably be stuffing the pockets of anyone that they can get to go against Orbán and his bloc. Okay, again, I thought we wanted to keep dirty money out of politics here. I mean, again, all of this is projection. Every time they accuse you of something, right, they're doing it. Okay, and add insult to injury, they're simply incompetent people. Our ruling classes are completely incompetent. And voters they know it.
I think that's right. I mean, it's there would have been a basis for if you want to attack Orbán, for instance, Orbán has decreed that there's going to be a Chinese university is going to build a campus in Budapest. Now that, I think, Orbán is vulnerable on that one. I mean, I'm not so sure that the Hungarians want a university campus, a Chinese university campus in Budapest. But that's not something the Europeans have actually made any issue about. That's what I mean. They don't actually pick on issues where Orbán is vulnerable. I mean, but that's typical of the EU. When they charge head first into the brick wall. So
yeah, but they fail. That's a really good point, because these elites are informed by ideology, okay? And building a Chinese campus in Budapest, it's very much akin to what we love to say. Republicans, they look at a bill, if there's no tax cuts and deregulation, they don't understand what it is. Right. See, this applies to the European elites as well. If they don't see the ideology in something, they're completely out at sea, okay?
Yeah, that's right. But it really is just kind of it's hilarious. I mean, the whole idea that when people say, okay, let's have a vote on it, and the bureaucrats go absolutely crazy. You can't vote. You can't allow people to decide their values. We get to decide what values are.
Right. We get to decide because we're the bureaucrat. Okay, voters. That's passe. We're bureaucrats. We are the deciding class. We are the influencing class. Okay. Right. This democracy thing, it could go the wrong way, George.
Yeah, that's right. We just hate this. I mean, when you get the Ursula von der Leyen who says, "That was disgusting." I mean, who voted Ursula von der Leyen into anything? I mean, how does she hold all these positions? President of the European Commission. I don't remember there's anyone having a kind of, let's have a presidential election and we'll decide who will be the president of the European Commission. I mean, have these, shift these positions around, and no one knows who the hell any of these people are.
The way it works is that when you're going, you rise in the EU bureaucracy by being incompetent. So you're in a position you're incompetent, move them up because they're incompetent in this position. Okay, and they move you, and the more incompetent you are, the higher you will rise.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yes. Yes.
It's meritocracy upside down, turned inside out.
Yeah, well, she's a staggering, everything about her, it just oozes incompetence from the sort of the vaccine rollout, just everything else, she's just incompetent, but she survives, and, she'll go on to the next big job.
Well, I don't know this for a fact, but I surmise that her big hero is Kamala Harris.
I'm sure that is. I'm sure that's right.
If I could just be like her. Freedom.
That's right, freedom.
Yeah,
we'll keep an eye on
incompetence recognizes itself. It does. They recognize each other. Okay, right. It's a telltale. Okay.
That's it.
Okay, guys, we're gonna keep watching this. We've done a number of videos on this. It's very interesting, not just because it's about Hungary, where George is, but it tells you something very important that's going on in the EU, and a story that a lot of people, you only get one side of it. Okay, and we're trying to give the other side. Okay, and so it's very important to do that. This is a public square, okay? And that's why we're doing it here. All right, everybody, we're on Locals, so please go to thegaggle.locals.com. George and I are doing interviews via Zoom with gagglers. The Gaggle store is up and running, and we're getting positive feedback. More items are going to be rolled out. We're going to be doing a Q&A pretty soon. And I'm very happy to announce that live streaming is within our reach.
Within reach, which is very exciting. We haven't done one in, I don't know how many, 8-9 months. It's been a long time. So it's really going to be very exciting to start.
And I'll let you do the tip jar this time because it doesn't fill itself.
Exactly. We also have a tip jar. So, please fill it to abundance, because Buddy helps himself more than he deserves, because we all need some of those tips. And remember, we don't have any billionaires backing us, so we rely on the generosity of fellow gagglers. Remember, if you like the Gaggle, please like, share, and subscribe. See you soon. Bye.